We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. The historic DNC's roll call for Kamala Harris was a vibrant event. The evening highlighted both Harris and the LGBTQ+ community.
VisitFlorida.com has quietly removed its LGBTQ travel page, previously featuring LGBTQ-friendly destinations and events.
Governor DeSantis backs 23 school board candidates by targeting woke policies.
Phil Donahue, a pioneering talk show host who broke barriers in the 70s and 80s by addressing LGBTQ+ and AIDS issues, died at 88.
Harley-Davidson halts diversity efforts and caves after a radical conservative backlash from a Twitter activist, Robbie Starbuck.
The Supreme Court blocked Biden's expanded Title IX protections in 26 states, citing insufficient grounds to override lower courts' injunctions.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, that we now have more than 9.5 million views because of you. More than 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days. Thank you. It is Wednesday, August 21st, 2024, and we are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
That's right, and let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's begin with the most beautiful girl at the table, Miss Bonnie Builder.
Yeah, duh.
She is the premier South Florida bodybuilding drag queen and the forever reigning Mixed Mary's Wilton Manors. A recent graduate of FIU, Bonnie is a trainer and comes to life with a microphone and a spotlight. Welcome back, Mama. What you got going on?
All right, I'm doing really, really well. Thank you so much for asking. So I voted yesterday, and it was super quick and easy. They actually let me on to like an elementary school campus to do so. Crazy. Speaking of school, I start school on this Friday for my master's program.
Yay!
Not only will I be the most attractive drag queen there ever was in South Florida, I'll also be the smartest. Which is not a high bar. Also, tonight is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays I host drag trivia at the Gathering. So if you're out, even if you're not, get dressed and come on through.
I love you, Bonnie. And you have that potty mouth and you come off as all mean or whatever. But you know what? You inspire people, all right?
So you be mean, yeah.
To be mean. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And to be beautiful. You look freaking flawless. I hate you.
Yeah, you should.
All right. Next up, welcome Cindy Brown, my sis. Cindy's in the house. Cindy was an early organizer of the Miami AIDS Walk and the White Party for Care resource. She is the programs director for the Lambda Living program at Jewish Community Services, and she also served as the founding executive director of Miami Beach Pride. Welcome back, Cindy. How are you, my boo?
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You vote yesterday?
I absolutely voted. I'm one of what they call a super voter. I vote in every single election, no matter how small, because vote locally and it will have much broader impact. If you think it's a stupid little local election, it's not. Go vote.
Yes, you heard that from Cindy. Next up, welcome anchor Dr. Tai Houser. He's a professor of English and Humanities at Broward College and teaches in the College of Business at Florida Atlantic University. He has served as a visiting professor at colleges in Bolivia, Brazil, China, India, and Spain, and provides an international viewpoint. Welcome back, Tai. How are you, boo?
Hi, Faye. I'm great, honey. How are you?
I'm looking good.
Glad to be here with this group. Even though Bonnie's here, I'm going to have a great night.
You're going to have to get past your hard penis. I'm so sorry.
That's why I talk.
What is the sexual tension between you, Bonnie, and most of the anchors?
I'm sexual and he's tense. I don't know.
Wow. Next up, let's welcome TriniDaddy. This artistic talent is a violinist and pianist with the Miami City Ballet and is a program director for the Seminole Theater Players in Homestead. Welcome back, Trini. How are you, bebe?
I am doing great, thank you. It's I'm kind of on my vacation period right now.
Ooh.
So I get to travel a little bit and hang out.
Where are you going?
I'm going to do like a little road tripping, around Florida. There's a lot of friends that are in town. I do have a lot of younger guy friends in their 20s.
Ooh, so go to Clothing Optional Sawmill.
Okay, maybe.
And if you need someone to go with you, I'm more than willing to come along.
Or Vitambi.
I said guys in their early 20s.
That's what I said.
Wow! It's really malo.
But I'm very happy to be here with all of you. It's always a privilege to be able to share viewpoints and learn from each other.
Thank you. You're still talking.
I'm still talking?
Yeah.
All right, of course.
Yeah.
And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat. She is a legendary events host, television and
while he says that.
radio personality, and the host of the FayWhat show on Mondays at Hotspots Happening Out. Faye, TransCon 2024 by Aqua Foundation for Women is taking place on September 7th at the Pride Center at Equality Park. Tell me, what's happening?
Yes, baby, of course I will. So TransCon is the Aqua Foundation for Women's largest annual event and Florida's longest running conference, hosted by and benefiting our transgender and non-binary communities, all right? The event is completely free, so go on over to the Aqua Foundation for Women and sign up, okay? This year we are having it at the Pride Center at Equality Park in Wilton Manors. Like I said, the event is free. We'll have multiple speakers, panelists, workshops, a youth hangout space, a decompression space, live performances, lunch, and a whole lot more. So go to Aqua Foundation for Women and sign up today for TransCon, and I will see you then, September 7th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. Let's begin by queering up breaking news. DNC has the most unique roll call in history and rocks LGBTQ plus community. Watch this.
With the call of the roll of the states.
Delegates, are you ready? Let me hear you.
Iowa, 40 delegates.
Dude, you gotta do it.
Georgia, 59 delegates.
Fire, get loud, another round of shots. DNC, turn out for what? Turn out for what? Hey, turn out for what?
West Virginia, 32 votes. President Donald J. Trump.
Party people, come on. DNC, party people, come on. Roll call, party people, come on. DNC, party people, come on.
The DNC shocked the nation last night. What normally is a slow, boring process, the states casting their votes for their nominee was reinvented. So being a Jersey girl, right, I knew something was happening when the governor of my home state cast her vote saying, quote, "We're from Jersey, baby, and you're not." DJ Cassidy was prominently on stage and played chart-topping tracks to represent each state as they were called. It rocked the LGBTQ plus nation. Georgia cast their votes with Atlanta's hometown rapper Lil Jon walking through the delegation singing his anthem, "Turn Down for What?" but changed the words to "Turn Out for What?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, he was a season 11 contestant of Donald Trump's Celebrity Apprentice. Actor Sean Astin cast Indiana's vote as the arena chanted, "Rudy, Rudy, Rudy," the Oscar-nominated film about the underdog character that wins at Notre Dame. Florida and Fort Lauderdale's LGBTQ Dauphin Democrats president Alfredo Olvera was front and center as the state cast their votes. And that only started the LGBTQ plus embracement in this historic roll call. New Jersey had a trans delegate cast Harris's ballots talking about diversity. Standing with film director Spike Lee, New York's governor Kathy Hochul cast their votes saying, quote, "New York is the birthplace of Stonewall, the birthplace of the world's LGBTQ plus movement," end quote. Oregon cast their votes saying that the state proudly fights for LGBTQ rights. California Governor Gavin Newsom cast the final 482 votes saying that the state proudly supports LGBTQ rights. DJ Cassidy and the music was a story all by itself. Songs played from 52 different artists showed off all the songs the DNC can play without getting sued. Aretha Franklin, Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, Prince, Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen, Dolly Parton, and so many more. Meanwhile, Trump's campaign has been threatened with legal action from many music performers for unauthorized use of their music. It is likely a Harris play for young voters. Meanwhile, gay Twitter went wild with Barack Obama's speech on what Donald Trump is. He definitely made a penis-sized joke. Watch this.
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on.
Gay Twitter could not stop talking about him looking down at those big, beautiful hands of his. But it was Michelle Obama that delivered a knockout punch. She challenged the do something and probably brought her famous "when they go low, we go high" to a new challenge. When they go low, we fight back.
Most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth. If we bankrupt a business or choke in a crisis, we don't get a second, third, or fourth chance. If things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. We don't get to change the rules so we always win. If we see a mountain in front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top. Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black. I want to know, who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
Oh my God. Listen,
great.
I've got to tell you that in past years, when the DNC comes up, I've watched highlights of it, right? I've been like, oh, that is going to be so freaking boring. I'll catch the highlights later, right? But I watched day one when Kamala came out and nobody expected her to come out, and I was just gushing, right? And then Hillary came out and I was gushing. And then now here we are yesterday with day two, and it was freaking extraordinary. Now, I didn't expect for so many people to say we support LGBTQ plus rights when they were casting their votes. I was blown away by that. Plus, just the incredible people that they brought through that stage. I'm in love with Kamala's husband, Doug. Yeah. I'm in love with that man. I had no idea that he was so charismatic, so funny. He's up there telling the story about their first date. Their 10-year wedding anniversary is Thursday when she accepts her nomination, right? And he says that every one of their anniversary, she makes him listen to the first voicemail that he ever left her. Right? 10 years ago when he sounds corny as hell, right? And that was just one of the many highlights that were throughout the night. You know, it was long, right? And I was like, I gotta wait for Michelle. I gotta wait for Michelle Obama, right? And Michelle turned it. Like, her pantsuit was beautiful. Her makeup looked just gorgeous. And just her speech just put something in me that I could not sleep for the next 2 hours because I was just so pumped up as to how to make sure that Kamala gets into the freaking White House. I wore my shirt, by the way. All right, everybody else, jump in. Tell me what else you guys like.
You know, one of the things that really impressed me, you know, seeing some of the Republican National Convention and seeing, you know, the Democratic National Convention, the diversity is obvious. Mm-hmm. You know, I like seeing all the diverse people that are, I mean, that is community. Mm-hmm. You know, when you see diversity and the fact that the LGBT rights were so front and center was, you know, it's really validating, especially for those of us who are older, when, you know, the first time we ever heard a president even say LGBT was, you know, in his inaugural speech was Barack Obama. Wow. He was the first one to do that. And to see, you know, so many of the states, you know, use LGBT rights as a reason to support this progressive ticket, it's just really gratifying.
Gives us hope too, right?
Yeah.
What do you kids think about Barack Obama and the hand gesture? Like, I thought it was a mistake initially when I heard the story, right? But then looking at it now again, that was deliberate. What do you think, Ty?
It was subtle, and that's how you get a good joke off, right? It was subtle, and it was just kind of under the surface, and if you got it, you got it, and we got it.
That man is filled to the brim with charisma. If he wasn't president, he could be a superstar actor, performer, anything like that. Speaking of superstars, I want to give a quick shout out to my personal friend, Jason Gadd, who was also pictured with Alfredo right there. Not only is he an integral part of the Dolphin Democrats of South Florida, he was also an anchor on Queer News Tonight.
He's a cutie.
He's a little cutie. Yeah. He also has a famous brother, whatever. If you've seen the movie Frozen, you've heard his voice. But Jason Gadd, death. You look amazing out there. I've been watching all the clips that he's been posting through there. It's really shaky hands because he's older, so he doesn't know how to film stuff. But he's been doing his very best. So I want to give a quick shout out to him.
How come we weren't invited, Bonnie? Right. We would have been wrecking stuff.
Well, I'm busy.
Well, you need to start.
I'm booked and blessed. Right?
I got time. I ain't doing shit, you know? Trini, what's up with you, puppy? What did you think?
Okay, so I caught it kind of on the rerun because I got home late with my family. So when I first saw the Lil Jon thing, I got worried. I was like, oh my gosh, what are the conservatives going to say about this? They're probably going to dig up some rap shit that's like, he's got this, this is what the Democratic Party is about, But it was super charismatic, and I was like, watching it and everything, and I'm like, all right, I hope this translates to votes, because I really don't know if it's a great party, but translating to vote, that's the important part matters. Of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I watched part of Barack's speech, Michelle's speech, and I was like, man, these are two fucking superstars. Yeah. And I was wishing Michelle Obama was the candidate because I love her. She's so intelligent, so articulate, such an empathetic heart. Like I just love her. So I'm, the fact that the two of them are stomping so hard for Kamala, I think is fantastic because I think the country loves the two of them. Mm-hmm. They're just, was America's couple since JFK and Jackie Onassis.
Yes.
Like, we just haven't had that kind of couple energy.
Yes.
So, contrasted by, where's Melania? It's like, is she alive? We know that there is no family values. We know that there's nothing on the other side. That's that. They just have to pretend, right? So I put on Fox News and I was like, let me go do some chores. And I'm like, let me just hear what all the blowback is going to be, right? And I forgot that it was on Fox News because when I'm hearing 5 of them commentate about this, they were saying that the best things about the Democratic convention. They're
Wow.
and I was like, I must have turned it to MSNBC
By mistake,
or something, right? They were all there like, well, what do you think about Michelle Obama? Like, none of them could criticize her. None of them could criticize. They were just saying, well, it was a great night for the Democrats. Like, they really organized it well. The first night, they were just talking about how long it was. They're like, they just can't plan an event. It goes to 11:30. This night, it was like, they were doing such a great job of energizing their base. Trump is gonna have a uphill battle. He's probably coming now from the underdog position. He's gonna have to, but they really just didn't have much to say. There was one anchor on there who was, Botox and looking crazy. She just had a ridiculous look to her, and she was just talking robotically.
That is FayWhat.
And
I was waiting. Who was going to throw the first ball?
And just saying like, well, I didn't really hear anything about policy and whether, which they're going to get to that. It's just the second night.
Yeah.
But they really didn't have anything to say, and they actually hyped up the Democratic party planning this whole. So I thought it was, that to me was the best indicator that it went really well.
That it was a success.
The opposition who's paid to just dog the Democrats, they really didn't have anything to say.
Right. Only Trini would put Fox News during that, right?
Well,
the rest of us, I'm like, well, what did they say? I was so curious about that. Tai, you were saying?
I was just going to say, interestingly enough, Fox had 3 open spots this morning for pundits.
Ooh, probably. That's
All right.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to Thursday for sure, right? And we'll all be watching, and we'll be bringing you the news here the day after each time. Next, let's queer up courts. Supreme Court blocks Title IX protections in 26 states. In a significant legal setback for President Joe Biden's administration, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that Biden's expansion Title IX protections cannot be enforced in 26 states where legal challenges are ongoing. Title IX is a pivotal civil rights law that prohibits sex-banned discrimination in federally funded educational programs and is renowned for advancing gender equality in college sports. In April, Biden introduced new rules to bolster protections against sex-based discrimination, including explicit safeguards for LGBTQ students. However, several Republicans-led states, including Florida, quickly challenged the amendments, branding them, quote, illegal, undemocratic, and divorced from reality, and asserting they jeopardize, quote, women at risk. On August 16, the Supreme Court voted 5-4 to reject the administration's request to enforce the new Title IX provisions in areas under injunction. The ruling emphasized that, quote, in this emergency posture in this court, the burden is on the government as applicant to show, among other things, a likelihood of success on its argument. On this limited record, the government has not provided this court with a sufficient basis to disturb the lower court's interim conclusions that the 3 provisions found likely to be unlawful are intertwined with and affect other provisions of the rule, end quote. Additionally, the Sixth Court has fast-tracked its review of the case and set oral arguments for October. I wasn't too surprised about this, right? Us being in Florida, right? And, when we do these stories, my mind always goes straight to that little girl in school just trying to be her true, authentic self, trying to play the sport that makes her happy and brings her joy, try to be part of a fellowship and try to be part of a group, and just be a kid.
Right.
And these things are continuously stopping, hindering them from having just nice, normal lives and being kids,
And I think it's a way to oppress women before they even become women. So that by the time when I was in school, there was some girls' sports, but there really wasn't a lot. And so as I grew up, it was like, oh, we get this and this and this. And, I think that they want to go back to when girls didn't have what boys have, so that when they grow into women, they don't want them to expect equity.
But we already deal with that in all other parts of our lives, Cindy.
Right. But many, many years ago.
Oh, yeah, when we needed a guy
different.
to open up a bank account, right?
Right. Yeah. And they want to go back to that.
For sure.
And this is all part of that.
That makes sense.
2025.
So what we see here from the court, though, is like part of their what their reputation is founding on, right? So it's the conservative majority. They're going to maintain the majority. And what they're doing is they're trying to force the burden onto the person who brings it. And they don't have a standard that is low enough for anyone to reach it.
Right.
This is not the first time that they've thrown something out because they said the person bringing the case doesn't have enough information. Yeah. And the other thing is states' rights. They're going to continually push things back to the state because they want states' rights. Interestingly enough, that was the same argument that the South made for slavery.
Yeah. I have a different take on it. I know I have the more unpopular opinion when it comes to trans in sports, and I don't want to get completely into it because that's a whole long conversation, which I've explained before. But I don't think what the rule. I was trying to get the actual details of like what they're trying to protect, or like what does Title IX not currently cover. And I think one of the arguments was that Title IX already covers a lot of what is perhaps they're hinting at. So they said there's no need to enforce any new additions to Title IX because it's already fine the way that it is. So we're going to let the lower courts decide for themselves. I think it's 26 states or 23, one of those numbers, states of them just kind of trying to figure it out. And so part of it was, I think, like maybe locker rooms and some of the other things, but I don't think it's specifically covering trans in sports, even if they do enforce the Title IX. Right. So this is not about what trans in I think sports, what I'm hearing the hype about it is not actually what it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think I would just encourage everybody. I didn't have enough time to like totally dive into it, but I would encourage everybody to dive into it to see what it is that these extra additions are, and if they're even covering the things that you're thinking that they're covering. So they just punted it. I was kind of surprised it was 5-4, not 6-3. Because it's a kind of super majority conservative court. So I'm leaning that it was more of a technicality that they're punting it back more than them actually ruling on something. And I don't know if it's necessarily because they think that
it's a trans issue or not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would encourage everyone to look more into it.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Trini.
Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Alert Disney and Universal as Visit Florida wipes out LGBTQ travel to Florida. Florida's tourism website, visitflorida.com, has quietly removed its LGBTQ travel page, which previously showcased the state's queer-friendly destinations. Visit Florida is the state's official destination marketing organization. Archived versions of the site reveal the page once highlighted gay-friendly beaches, pride events, and LGBTQ road trip ideas. The removed section used to read, quote, "There's a sense of freedom to Florida's beaches, the warm weather, and the myriad activities, a draw for people of all orientations, but especially appealing to the gay community looking for a sense of belonging and acceptance," end quote. The link to the LGBTQ travel page now redirects to a general Things to Do page. It's unclear when the page was removed or why, as Visit Florida, a nonprofit established by the Florida legislature, has not provided details about the decision. Despite this removal, the site continues to feature travel information for other minority groups, including Blacks and Hispanic communities. This action reflects a broader trend of restricting queer content in Florida. Recent years have seen legislation aimed at limiting LGBTQ inclusive education, healthcare, and sports participation. Schools have also removed LGBTQ-related books, and last week, New College of Florida discarded hundreds of books on queer issues, race, and women's rights. DeSantis even fought a prolonged legal battle with Disney, which has a major corporate presence in the state, following the company's opposition to the state's Don't Say Gay law. The Human Rights Campaign and Equality Florida issued a travel advisory last year highlighting the risks of traveling to Florida amid the legislative challenges and the impact on the LGBT community. Activists say the move is contradictory to the state's mission of travel to Florida. Disney is the largest LGBTQ employer in the world. Orlando is one of the world's top LGBTQ travel destinations, driven by the theme parks and gigantic events like OMW, Gay Days, Girls in Wonderland, and Bears Jamboree. 3 of the nation's largest LGBTQ communities are in Florida. And South Florida has the world's #1 and #2 largest number of LGBTQ visitors in the world. You know, the LGBT community provides so much to the economy of the state that it's unconscionable that Visit Florida has completely removed this tremendous tax base. And hoteliers, restaurants, small business owners, those are the ones who are going to suffer. The travel industry is going to suffer here, and we count on tourist tax dollars. You know, we don't pay state income tax here, but if stuff like this keeps happening, we may see a state income tax, because I don't know what percentage of our tax base comes from tourism, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Right. Well, at least I was just thinking, at least we have Visit Lauderdale, who is always there
and we have the GMCVB in Miami.
Right, right. And so they're always there supporting us and, you know, saying, hey, we are embracing everyone.
They are. And I asked Richard Gray for a quote. So Richard Gray is the Senior VP of Inclusion and Accessibility over at Visit Lauderdale. And his quote was, "As disturbing as it is for the LGBT landing page to be erased on the Visit Florida website, travel transcends politics. One thing I can say is that Visit Lauderdale will continue to be generators of change, and we are committed and dedicated to being a destination where all people are welcome, regardless of gender expression, body size, race, religion, or disability." You can, in 2023, 3.375 million LGBTQ plus visitors spent a massive $1.35 billion here in Florida. LGBTQ plus tourism to the state of Florida must be at least 10 million visitors who spend around $5 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's
for
a
the
big
state.
chunk of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's irresponsible for them to do that.
But it's the constant DeSantis and right-wing thing. Is we will get rid of all of this stuff regardless of consequences. We don't care. The same reason, the same thing when he, you know, eliminated all arts funding, just kind of
it was
gone.
This move may seem minuscule, but I've literally had queer friends who don't live in the state say they will not visit here, they will not patronize here, they will not come here and spend their money because of the rhetoric that's being spread about Florida and how we're being treated here. Yeah, we don't have it easy, but leaving and refusing to come here is not the answer to do that.
We need you.
We need you to come here in droves, come here in numbers, show up and show out.
And piss
show
off
that,
DeSantis.
Piss off and maybe piss on him. Do whatever you got to do.
He'd like that.
But like, that is none of my business. But making moves like this really sends a signal like, oh, maybe Florida isn't the place to go this summer for a vacation. But we really need you guys to stand with us and stand by us. And please continue to come here to my show specifically. Tip me there.
What do you think?
I low-key kind of like stories like this, because whenever somebody just does something stupid, like towards the LGBTQ, you know, plus community, I love that we're able to show it in an intelligent, non-emotional way and just say, this is ridiculous.
Right.
Like, it's been on for years, you know, this page.
Yeah.
So why you would take it, like, obviously the people, even if you're conservative, like, they're not going to say, oh, this is going to stop the gay people from coming into, it makes no sense to do it except for to take a stand against people for no reason. And I know a lot of people, like, put conservatives in this box that they hate gay people. Most of them really just don't care about gay people. They don't care about gay issues.
They don't care enough.
They don't, you know, they're just like, whatever. If two people want to be together, who cares? You know, like, it's something that they think about. So when they look at this, it's not going to, like, bother them. But when they think about, like, all right, well, it was there. Like, why are people just being ceremonially cruel, like, just for no reason? And they all see that it's because he's trying to curry favor. He was trying to run for the presidency, and he was doing the most ridiculous things. He's kind of tamped it down a little bit because he knows that it's unpopular, and he's going to try to be reelected again, but he doesn't have to go for the presidency now. You know, so I always use the model of gay marriage. I think our community, I was so proud of our community, 2008, 2009, 2010, where we never went so far to, like, really hurt other people or to name call conservatives or anything like that. All we did was just show that love is love, that people, you know, And everybody responded. When you're not being insulted and you're looking at what's going on and the legitimate arguments, it's like gay marriage changed like wildfire, the opinion to it. And we got it in 2015. And my hope is always in advocacy and activism is that we do it in a way where we're not so focused on the fight, but the cause. Like what's going to get us to our goal in 3 years, 4 years from now? And when we kind of articulate and intelligently make these points about what's going on, like I think that moves us forward. So in something like this, I think it actually helps us. So.
No, that's a good point. It educates folks. You know, I don't like the in the middle of the night kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, we're going to be all loud and proud about everything else, but then, you know, everything else, we're just going to do it like at night, you know, and that's a page right out of DeSantis's book.
Right.
He does that 2:00 in the morning things. He'll go sign things. Okay, let's just take all the funding away.
Right.
You know, so, but I mean, great point, Trini. I thank you so much for having your opinion.
Yes.
As opposed to someone else's.
Next, let's queer up students and youth culture. Conservatives push parental rights agenda in Florida school boards under DeSantis. Governor Ron DeSantis' parental rights campaign may not have won him the GOP presidential nomination, but he's continuing the fight in Florida schools. For the 2024 cycle, DeSantis has endorsed 23 school board candidates across 14 counties, targeting 14 incumbents as part of his effort to combat what he calls woke ideology. The debate is centered on parental rights, a movement emerging from opposition to pandemic school measures and now focusing on classroom instruction about identity, race, and history. Katie Blacksburg, a conservative candidate for Pinellas County School Board, has faced significant backlash from extreme conservative groups, including threats and harassment, after opposing extreme tactics by activists. Blacksburg criticized the misinformation and fear tactics used to sway public opinion, saying, quote, "The misinformation that has been spread by this group of people are tired of it," end quote. Pinellas is one of the largest swing counties in the state, and it seems to be moving rightward. DeSantis' endorsements and support from groups like Moms for Liberty and Florida Faith Foundations is an example of a broader conservative strategy that is being implemented to reshape local school boards. Critics are warning that such shifts can lead to instability, including superintendent dismissals and educational disruptions. South Florida sent a strong message that they disagree with DeSantis replacing 2 of his conservative appointees with newcomers. Broward's DeSantis-appointed school board members Daniel Fagnali and Tori Alston were replaced with Mara Bowman and Rebecca Thompson, respectively. The outcome of the August 20 election could significantly impact Florida's educational landscape. Now, I didn't have a whole lot to contribute to this conversation, but reading it for like the 4th time, the lady Blacksburg, what's her name is? The fact that even she, as an extreme right-wing conservative,
can recognize it.
Hey, this is a little ridiculous. I don't like these tactics that we're going along with. It's moments like these where you realize it's not a huge conglomerate that is attacking us. It's a grouping of individuals who are like-minded who want to attack us. But then at certain points, some people will come to their senses and be like, well, I have this stance and I believe in it, but if we have to go in such a vile direction to get to our point, maybe this isn't the way to do it or what I think is meant for. People truly have their religious beliefs and their conservative beliefs, but will not undermine, lie, trick, or steal to get their point across. They will just say it and push it. Then you have people like DeSantis who will go in the middle of the night while we're sleeping in beds with our husbands or somebody's husband, and it's like and try to dog out the queer community. So I'm not saying I stand with this woman, but I appreciate the fact that she outwardly said, I don't agree with the tactics we are using, and of course she got dogged out for that.
Yeah, and they replaced two brown people for 2 white, cisgendered white women.
So
really? They sure totally did. And this also kind of goes back to like what Trini was saying, right? About like understanding the verbiage when it comes to don't say gay. You know, they explained it to people that don't know gays, people that don't have gays, people that don't care about gays, right? They're going after our children and they believe it. You know, because they don't have anything else to use as a reference point to it, you know? So yesterday was the elections, like we mentioned, and 11 of the 23 candidates endorsed lost last night.
Right.
11. You know, thank goodness, right? But 6 will still go on to November runoffs. So, you know, like we said, this will cause a ruckus in our schools and our school boards.
The governor's involvement in local school boards is unprecedented. Like, the governors just don't get that involved with local school boards. So this is another way in which he is just showing that he's making very targeted, specific decisions and approaches and you know, sending targeted and specific hate down into communities so that he can advance his own personal agenda.
Yeah, well, the Broward County community spoke up and said, we don't want these 2 people you appointed.
Yeah.
We don't want them. We want to pick our own school board members because it's our children being educated. So, I mean, bravo for that.
But can he just override that and say, screw you, I'm going to put in whoever I want to put in?
I mean, if he has, he claimed some legitimate reason for taking those out of their seats, that they were not following the Florida law.
Sure.
I mean, he might find a way to do it, but the more he removes people who were elected by the people, the harder it's going to be for his folks to be successful. They're not wanted.
Right.
And you know, you are shoving them on us. We didn't vote for these people. We don't want them. We don't like their ideas.
And this is what the campaign should be of the Democrats.
Exactly.
It's like, if, you know, if I were running, I would be saying, look, we may not agree on everything, but you know, these tactics, if you decide to do all of this, as soon as the person in the opposition power is elected, then it's all going to get done to you.
Right.
So just remember, if he's taking these people out, when you have some super liberal governor that you don't like, he's going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So he or she is going to do the same thing. So you have to be really careful, y'all. Like, we may disagree, but like, these tactics are wrong on both sides, and it's going to come back to bite you in the ass.
Yep.
So
Right.
please stand with
Absolutely.
us. Let's try to find some common ground here. But you know this is wrong. And I applaud this conservative chick. I don't know much about her. But like, you know,
up.
to at least say, look, they're going to use this against us if you keep doing this. So
Right.
next, let's queer up gay culture. Daytime TV legend and LGBTQ plus ally Phil Donahue is remembered for AIDS kindness. Phil Donahue, who passed this week, was a pioneering talk show host whose influence on daytime television was profound. Donahue's willingness to address controversial and often ignored issues set his show apart, particularly in the 1970s and 1980s when mainstream media largely shunned LGBTQ topics. Donahue's The Phil Donahue Show provided a crucial platform for marginalized communities, especially during the AIDS crisis. It was a time when fear and misinformation were rampant. He invited queer individuals and AIDS patients to share their stories, humanizing their experience in a way that was both empathetic and groundbreaking. One of his most notable episodes, quote, AIDS Face to Face in 1986, showcased his compassion as he engaged with AIDS patients, challenging the stigma and fear surrounding the disease. Donahue's approach not only informed the public, but also provided solace to those who felt ostracized. In May, President Biden awarded Donahue the Presidential Medal of Freedom, honoring his groundbreaking efforts in raising awareness and fostering empathy for the LGBTQ plus community and the AIDS crisis. Donahue's work transcended television. He made a lasting impact on public perception and the lives of countless individuals. He was an unconditional ally to the LGBTQ plus community. We will miss him. I learned most about AIDS, HIV, the crisis, through Phil Donahue and through other talk show hosts.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, before talk show hosts, they never really talked about molestation or any kind of sexual issues in the public, sphere. It was always something that was just a secret that was swept, until Oprah and Donahue and Maury and for the younger crowd, Ricky Lake, they were talking about all of these things, and we actually had these conversations. I remember hearing about AIDS when I was in high school, and I didn't know much about it except it was a gay disease. It was this gay cancer that was killing everybody. And nobody wanted to touch them. Nobody would go into a hospital room.
Except the lesbians.
Except for the lesbians, you know, at that time. But like no public figures were except for Princess Diana. And I remember when that was like a huge thing for me. She took off her glove and like touched a person with her bare hand before she even, we knew the full scope of transmission and all of that stuff. So, I remember listening to some of those patients, and it went from demonizing these people to like, oh my God, like what they are going through. I can't, like, is there a way that we can help them? Like their families, like this is a horrible thing, whether you agree with the lifestyle and the orientation of being gay, like churches, like, you know, how could you not look at these people there and they need help, you know? And so, gosh, I'm even like tearing up remembering some of this. I remember Kimberly Lentz, who was the first AIDS patient that I remember, who was, I think that was her name. I hope I'm not getting it wrong. And watching her, and I think she was the first non-gay male. And the media actually gave her a lot of attention because, you know, she didn't have the stigma. And watching her degrade was like, it was horrible. And people like Phil Donahue stood up, and it wasn't popular. It's not like you pitched to your producer, AIDS, gays, like that's where the money's at, you know? So, you know, they took a leap of faith on there, and they were willing to get called, you know, all kinds of names and being called gay themselves and all of that stuff. Congratulations.
So beautiful, Trini, that you all got. I love that. You know, I mean, I think that many people probably for the first time even learned about our community or the transgender community on talk shows like this, you know? So, I mean, he was definitely way before his time, and he didn't have to be. He was a white cisgendered man. He didn't have to, you know? During the Stonewall riots, around that time, he had interviews with gay men. Nobody did that shit. Nobody, you know? In an interview with Oprah, right, he said, you know, I had to get into gay politics. I had to get into the activism part of it all. Gayness is not a moral issue, yet no institution on earth has promoted homophobia more than the church. He even went after the church. This is not something that people would just do on network television without the scare of maybe losing their contract or losing their show. He didn't give a crap. You know, I mean, from interracial marriage to all kinds of stuff. He really did touch on those subjects that others would not.
So,
you know?
and our little local connection, you all might know her, but Kelly Anderson, who used to live in Wilton. She's no longer in South Florida, I don't think. But she was on the Donahue show, you know, as a trans activist and drag queen. So, you know, if you get a chance, you can watch it on YouTube. She had a great little appearance.
You know, Donahue, I watched him growing up. I mean, several generations, he taught several generations about humanity. I remember coming home from school and I wanted to watch the Phil Donahue show. And I remember he was in Miami one time, and he did a show at the Miami Marine Stadium, and they were talking about what language should be spoken in Miami. It was a huge thing. There was a conversation about an official language of Miami. And he came down and he did this show with community members, and it was kind of contentious, but he was the guy who made it easy to have hard conversations. And, you know, I learned a lot from him too.
Well, and imagine those conversations spilling into your living room, right? And like living with parents that are not supportive, like many of us had to, you know, grow up
and watching the show with them.
And watching it with them, and it sparking some kind of conversation. Maybe it didn't go the way you went, but that conversation would have never happened in my house if it wasn't for something to spark up like this on TV. It just wouldn't.
Well, and knowing that you contributed to the zeitgeist is not just about like doing all the stuff that he did, but it's about what other people do with you. He was the butt of jokes all through the, you know, early and mid 90s, which means that he was having an effect. You know what I mean? He was making his way into our culture and saying, hey, we got to talk and think about this stuff. And that's why comedians as well as talk show hosts are important.
You know what also, I just want to add, like he and people like Doug Emhoff, like the friends of yours that were straight, that didn't care that they had a gay friend, always had like such a huge impact on me. And he was one of those dudes, and like that don't care that somebody's gonna make fun of them. I'm like, what are you two doing? Like, you know, oh, for you to have a gay friend. Like, even my own mother like would question like, why would this friend, like when I was much older when she found out, like in my 30s, but then she would ask me about all my straight friends, like, why would they want to be friends with you? And I was like,
because I'm a good guy.
Exactly, you know?
Yeah.
But it just like, it didn't really click to her because it was such a stigma, you know? And we're talking back in the 80s, you know, when this was not as nearly accepted as it is now, or even 10 years, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you know, that the guys that are willing to take the barbs for their gay friends, I'm like, you know, I love you, man. Thank you so much.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay, next, let's queer up business. Harley-Davidson cuts DEI programs amid conservative pressure. Harley-Davidson has announced that it is ending its diversity and progressive initiatives following attacks from conservative Twitter activist Robbie Starbuck. The company joins brands like John Deere and Tractor Supply Company in retracting similar inclusive programs. In a statement posted on Twitter, Harley-Davidson expressed disappointment over recent social media negativity, which they described as, quote, designed to divide the Harley-Davidson community. The statement clarified that the company has not had a DEI function since April 2024. It does not have hiring quotas, and it no longer has supplier diversity spending goals. Harley-Davidson announced that it will reassess all its sponsorships and partnerships. The company also stated that it will no longer engage with the Human Rights Campaign. However, the company reaffirmed its commitment to a broad employee and customer base, stating, quote, we believe having both a broad employee and customer base is good for business, and that ultimately everybody should experience the joy of riding a Harley. Starbuck stated he started his campaign against Harley-Davidson on July 23rd, accusing it of, quote, going totally woke by sponsoring a boot camp for LGBTQ entrepreneurs, donating to United Way, and striving for workforce diversity. Robbie Starbuck celebrated the decision on Twitter, calling it, quote, another win for our movement, while the Human Rights Campaign criticized the decision as, quote, an impulsive decision fueled by fringe right-wing actors. Well, I like the fringe right-wing actor comment from them because I think that's about right. But if you really want someone to vibrate between your legs like a Harley-Davidson, give me a call.
Yeah. Oh, alrighty. Well, you know.
Until it runs out of gas.
I think Harley is kind of like losing its, you know, flair, and this kind of thing isn't going to do anything good for its bottom line.
How much are we interested in Harley-Davidson? I don't really know many.
I don't know
gay
many
bikers.
LGBTQ plus bikers. I mean, I know there are
there's
out
some
there because we're
lesbians,
everywhere. You know, bikes on dikes is a thing. So yeah, there is.
No,
you know?
dikes on bikes.
And, you know,
There could be some bikes on dikes too.
You know, but I mean, again, you know, they're not the only ones, folks, right? So be aware of these other organizations that you might go to or, you know, work with that are also letting go of half DEI or letting it go completely. You know, Tractor Supply, John Deere, okay, Meta, Tesla, DoorDash, Lyft, Home Depot, Wayfair, and X have all cut. Well, we're not surprised with X, but the other ones completely have taken away their DEI services. And you know, I mean, and again, quietly in the night, like Ron DeSantis.
Yep.
Right? I think this so stupid. Oh my gosh. So Harley-Davidson, right? Their brand is supposed to be like, you know, we're the macho man's man, right? Mm-hmm. This little pipsqueak Robbie Starbucks like goes on his little blog and says, you know, and you're like, okay, Robbie, we'll do whatever it is that you say. Yeah. Like, I think that should make more of a difference to your brand, that you were caving to this one dude who's like that is so ridiculous. Can you fucking man up? Like Harley-Davidson, you're gonna let this like influence you? But it goes against your entire brand about being like a strong man and like what that represents. Like, we know that Gen Z right now, what the demographic is of LGBTQ plus and a lot of the plus going on there. Mm-hmm. And you went from supporting like a LGBT camp, like to now like we can't, you know, even touch anything that's that way because Robbie Starbuck said this, and you know we got to do what Robbie Starbuck says. Like, are you kidding me?
Like, what happened to your balls?
Exactly, you have no balls.
They fell off the bike.
You should make a whole post about Robbie Starbuck and say, motherfucker, who cares what you think? Like, are you buying my bikes? Like, please. Like,
Exactly.
I just think it's the most unmanly, unmacho move. And like, why don't you just show people what a real man is and like support some people, right? You know, like support your gay youth. Like, come on.
Kid Rock is gonna buy like 10 Harley-Davidsons
right now
with the non-money that man has.
And then crash them all.
And then crash.
But that's not going to contribute to what you're really getting at, I think, or part of what you're really getting at is looking at the brand and its longevity. And if they're cutting out the DEI stuff, they're not paying attention to the longevity of the Harley.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
And that's going to sink the company quicker than
riding a bike.
Riding a bike.
Riding a bike right in over that bridge.
Next, you are invited to sail on a spectacular Scandinavian adventure. Set sail on an unforgettable 14-day adventure with Hotspots Happening Out nonprofit travel club. Begin in Malmö, Sweden, where history and charm collide. Then board the luxurious MSC Poesia for a cruise through the awe-inspiring Norwegian fjords. Marvel at the maritime magic of Karlskrona. Dive into Berlin's vibrant culture and feel the thrill of Norway's Viking heritage in Eidfjord. You can unwind with days at sea. Explore Oslo's rich history and wrap up your journey with a stay in captivating Copenhagen. This trip is all about creating memories that last a lifetime. Book now at happeningout.travel.
As a nonprofit LGBTQ+ media organization, we would like to thank our viewers for supporting our mission to tell the stories of the queer community. We also thank the generous support of Jets Pizza. Jets is the LGBTQ+ community's most popular pizza in South Florida.
Take a look around these streets. Do you really think we woke up one day and said, yeah, the world needs more pizza? Nah, just a better one. Better, like the world's best pizza. Jet's Detroit-style pizza. Hand-pressed and baked to the thickest, crispiest crunch. You're welcome. Now visit jetspizza.com and save. Click on hot deals for special offers in your area. Jets, better because it has to be.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
We finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the world view. Gay meteorologist Nate Byrne calmly handles a panic attack on live TV. Nate Byrne, an openly gay meteorologist on ABC News Breakfast, gained global attention after a candid moment on live television. During this week's broadcast, Byrne experienced a panic attack and openly shared his struggle with viewers, saying, quote, "Some of you may know that I occasionally get affected by some panic attacks, and actually, that's happening right now," end quote. He immediately handed the show back to co-presenter Lisa Millar, who seamlessly took over the show while commenting on Byrne's bravery. She also displayed Byrne's 2022 piece on his first panic attack and ongoing battle with anxiety, adding context to what happened. He soon returned to the broadcast and thanked his colleagues for their support. Byrne's openness surely has inspired many dealing with a similar issue.
We've got big falls right through that part of the country, and we're going to see lots more rain in the days ahead. I'm actually going to need to stop for a second. Some of you may know that I occasionally get affected by some panic attacks, and actually that's happening right now. Lisa, maybe I could hand back to you.
You certainly can, Nate. Very pleased to say that our wonderful colleague Nate is back with us.
Hey, sorry if I gave anybody a bit of a scare there.
Yes, not really, because you've been very honest before about getting panic attacks on air, and it's...
You know, very brave of him. A lot of people in this world suffer from panic attacks, and to be brave enough to allow people to understand what was happening in that moment, I'm sure he changed a lot of lives.
Yeah, I like the way the team handled that. I like the way he handled that. I didn't like his hair. Didn't like his outfit.
I didn't like his shirt.
But I liked his attitude.
Yeah.
And
He probably got a panic attack because of the shirt.
Oh. Don't blame him for being Australian. Don't blame him for being Australian.
Oh, he's Australian? Is that what? Listen, at the end of the day, sharing is caring. Just like Cindy said, right?
Yeah.
Someone watching can be like, wow, look at this meteorologist with this super important job, and he
weird
has
haircut,
a panic attack.
I had a panic attack this morning. My head's been foggy ever since. Like, I legit have not been thinking clearly all day.
We can tell you got dressed. Yeah,
thanks.
What's Trini? What's on your mind, honey?
To be that guy, like, I've experienced lots of things being in a public position or being on stage or whatever. It's not, I don't know if it's brave. I don't know if that's the word I would use, but I think the way that I would handle it, and most of my colleagues that handle these kinds of situations, is like we just kind of seamlessly like throw it to the next person without really making a deal of it, and then you put it in your memoir, you talk about it later, like, I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to like always inform your audience of like what you're going through at the moment, or like, right now I'm really sad because of my divorce, or what, or whatever it might be. Yeah. And I understand that it's not a divorce. It's a little something different, but I don't know. I'm a little bit more of the push through it and like, address it later kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I host many events, and I tell people like, the people in the audience don't know if you made a mistake. Right? They don't know. And if you could just cover it up seamlessly, then they'll never find out, But for him, it was a debilitating moment where he could not get out of it, right? Because that's what it seemed like, where he was like, oh shit, what do I do? Like, I don't know if I'm going to pass out here or what.
Right.
So he did the right thing in throwing it over. I would throw it to you, Trini, if I was in that state.
But you probably wouldn't have said like, everybody, I'm having
what he did,
whatever. But
that's what he needed.
I'm not criticizing it. Like, that's fine for him to do it. I'm just saying, maybe there's other ways to handle it that are also brave and wonderful. You don't necessarily need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe he did.
Yeah. Speaking of brave, over to me. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's quirk entertainment. Stanchris' new documentary, Unbearably Beautiful, Bear Week, now streaming on YouTube. Chris Stanley, known as Stanchris, has released his latest documentary, Unbearably Beautiful, Bear Week, in Provincetown. It is now streaming on his YouTube channel. The documentary examines the attitudes within the gay community and the bear subculture regarding body image. It features interviews with 20 people, including John Hernandez, editor-in-chief of Bear World. The documentary boldly addresses societal perceptions of the often larger and hairier bear bodies, offering insights into both positive and negative viewpoints. Stanchris has often expressed his love for the bear community through social media. Stanchris also has several exciting projects in the works, including a feature film titled Scraps and an LGBTQ skateboarding film. He is also exploring many short films and documentary ideas, and one of these involves Taylor Swift. That's pretty major. Now, I've said it a couple times on this platform, I am a huge fan of the bear community. I don't know if they're a huge fan back because of my skin color, but I love the bear community. I love partying with them. I love doing other things with them. I'm actually looking forward to this. I'm a big YouTube person, so the fact that I can access this on YouTube is actually very exciting. I have something to do while folding my laundry.
I'm going to want you to dress like Goldilocks the next time you're at a bear party.
And what the fuck do you think this is?
I was about to say, this looks like Goldilocks right now.
I gave everybody a dress code before we started this, and barely anybody.
This is it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that the next documentary for you should be Taylor Swift at Bear Week.
Right.
Ooh.
All right, because that will be like huge, right? I'm just saying. All right. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Handsome Gabe Salizar. I added handsome, but he really is. Gabe Salizar becomes director at Sunshine Cathedral. The Sunshine Cathedral is celebrating a joyful new chapter with the return of its choir under the direction of Gabe Salizar. With a rich background in music and experience as artistic director of the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, Gabe is set to lead the choir into a new era. Previously a vocalist with the Cathedral, Gabe will now focus on recruiting, training, and leading the choir, bringing fresh energy and passion to the music ministry. While accepting the new responsibility, Gabe will remain the artistic director of the chorus. Barbara Ramcharitar and Sarah Byrne, who earlier directed Sunday services and concerts, will continue as music ministry leaders, with Barbara on the organ and Sarah as a vocalist and confidential assistant to the senior minister. The new choir promises to add even more joy and pageantry to worship services. Community members interested in joining the choir are encouraged to reach out to the executive minister, Robert Griffin, for an interview and voice placement. So Gabe is an exceptional human. He's gorgeous, but he's also an exceptionally talented individual, right? And
Relatable, yeah.
And you know, he's just incredible at what he does. So I love him and everything that he does with the Gay Men's Chorus, right? And then on Sunday service, right? Darrell is incredible. Robert is incredible. If you've never been to Sunshine Cathedral, do yourself a favor, okay? They have 2 services on Sunday. It is your queer church. Trust me, all right? But it goes so wonderfully, the music with the message. Right? It's so like, you're like, wow, there's a great message. But then they blow you away with the music, you know, and that's Gabe Salizar right there. So congratulations on this, a new appointment. I'm glad that you're staying on and you're doing all these wonderful things because you're bringing this vigor that I just love to watch.
Excellent. I'll have to check it out. I mean, I don't really go to church, but I love the music in church. So.
And that's one fine-ass man, so I'll come out. Hello, somebody.
LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up drag culture. Trixie Mattel creates history with 4 million followers on Instagram. Trixie Mattel has hit a major milestone, becoming the first queen from RuPaul's Drag Race to reach 4 million followers on Instagram. This achievement puts her ahead of Plastique Tiara, who has 2.8 million followers, and just 1.2 million behind the queen herself, Drag Race host RuPaul, who has 5.2 million. While Trixie is currently on a break from drag, her influence continues to grow. Between managing Trixie Cosmetics, the Trixie Motel, and hosting multiple shows, she's built an empire that resonates with fans worldwide. If you wish to explore Trixie's latest collection, visit TrixieCosmetics.com. Congratulations, Trixie Mattel. And I say that is a big congratulations because she's probably like my least favorite queen out of the whole thing. So... And I'm no shade to that. It's just like, you know, you're good at what you do for those people who like it. I'm just not into like, you know, not being able to see the eyes in the way that you do your makeup and, you know, the singing is not fantastic or the music or the charisma or any of that kind of stuff for me personally. But whenever there is somebody who takes whatever they have and turns it into like, you know, out of all the queens, like Alyssa Edwards, like, you know, Alaska, like that you're you're the second out of all of the queens of, you're the first out of all the queens. 4 million, like, congratulations for taking what you do, making the most of it. I truly mean that. Congratulations.
Absolutely, congratulations for that. And I don't really follow like the drag queen thing so much because the only drag queen I care about is right here at the table.
Oh, that's right. FayWhat.
Always. I freaking knew that was coming. So Trixie Mattel, my God, you know what I mean? How can I miss you if you're freaking everywhere? Like, she took a break from everything, but like, we've had so many stories on Trixie Mattel the last couple of weeks that bitch ain't resting. You know what I mean? Like, I need a break. It's too much that I'm making all these millions on so many different things. I can't. I need a mental break, right? She's got the motel. She's got a couple shows. She's got her tour. You know, I mean, she's got the makeup. I can go on and on. She's got a lot of stuff, you know? So congratulations on your 5
Out of all the people to have a cosmetics line, Trixie Cosmetics?
She wears the most makeup.
She wears
I am inspired by people with extremely strong work ethics. I look up to people like that, and she's definitely one of them. She was honest, always working. And I am a fan of Trixie Mattel. And to say that one human being had her hand in several businesses at one time, took no breaks at all, and not just being a business owner, several business owners. But to have to be the performer at the same time. Imagine owning a business and then getting into full geesh basically every day to film something, to go to something, to fly here, to go there.
I don't know. Sounds like my life. I'm doing it every freaking day.
You get it. Like, drag is exhausting. So the fact that this tired ass drag queen, no, that's not what I meant. The fact that this drag queen who is tired did this for so long. I think she said she took a 2-week break in the past like 7 years.
Holy crap.
So like, I gotta give her kudos for finally putting herself first before the money that she was making, and she was making a lot of it. And whether you like her or not, everybody has the right to a wrong opinion. But Trixie Mattel, kudos to you. I think this is well deserved. I can't wait to have you back. And I really need you to put that black line back on your line, because that's what I used in my makeup a lot, and it was working really well. The other stuff that you got is starting to run out. I need you to bring that black little, you know what I'm talking about, girl. We see each other.
She's actually so good that she's gotten us off of 1 minute news and into news.
Right.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Rotten Tomatoes reveals best LGBTQ plus movies of all time. But do you agree? Rotten Tomatoes has unveiled a list of the best reviewed LGBTQ plus films of all time. This selection, based on aggregated critical consensus, highlights some lesser-known gems alongside popular titles. Leading the list is the animated documentary Flea from 2021, followed by the Oscar-winning Moonlight of 2016. Other notable films include Girl Picture, 121 Beats Per Minute, Kokomo City, and Madchen in Uniform from 1931. The list also includes works like We Were Here, Welcome to Chechnya, A Secret Love, and Mucho, Mucho Amor, The Legend of Walter Mercado. Does the list have your favorite movie? If not, which one would you add? I don't know that I have a lot to add, but I really liked Transamerica. Maybe a little punch.
Right?
No. That was the series on Netflix. This was Felicity Huffman, and I think she won the Oscar for it. There was a little controversy about whether or not it should have been best.
She should.
That should be on that list for sure.
Right. But I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that one.
I'm a big Moonlight fan. It's a great movie. It's really easy to jerk off to.
On that note,
wow. Okay.
That was all I had was independent films in like the 90s, early 2000s, and like these films to me don't even compare to like the impact like Y Tu Mama Tambien.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
Like the first time that came out. Trick in the
Trick. I was in love with that Trick.
Do you know what though? Like I have been searching for it to find it on Blu-ray, and I guess whoever was the
Blu-ray.
Or a DVD or some way to download it or stream it. You can't.
Yeah.
They won't release the rights for you to.
I tried. I couldn't.
And that was like one of the best ones. So many of the great independent films that was part of the culture that moved us forward. The Celluloid Closet, Paris is Burning.
Right.
I mean, like, why are these not the tops of the list?
Yeah,
like,
what about Bound? Bound was
huge.
Bound
you and I are like
it.
Bound.
Oh my God.
I mean,
like Tina Gershon. I was like, I'm gay.
Right.
Those were the ones that had the real impact. This is when the audience was already established that these movies had, you know.
Yeah, but how about that one in 1930? Holy
that one. I don't know that.
Check that out. I never heard of it, but that's interesting.
Interesting. All right. Well, that's today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, FayWhat! And on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the incredible anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Bonnie Builder, Cindy Brown, TriniDaddy, and Dr. Tai Houser. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. into our LGBTQ plus world.